Hey, small group leaders, I just wanted to send you guys a video with some of the trainings that I've been talking about. Like I said, kind of the heart behind these videos is that every week you would get a little bit that you would feel empowered to make your groups the best possible groups, that you would feel confident in leading, and that you would have a strong sense of direction on how to make your group both connected and learn to grow. So something that was brought up this week and with the freshman boys small group was the fact that sometimes, and that you find this less frequent in high school small groups than you do middle school small groups, but especially with something like a group like the freshman boys, sometimes there is a lot of engagement and talking, but it's not necessarily the it's not constructive, or it's side conversations, or there are things that can be disruptive to what you guys are trying to achieve as a group overall. And the hard part is sometimes it's like really good engaged kids. And just so you guys know, like I was this kid as a student. I was the one that would I think, it's my personality, the way I'm wired, like I would disrupt a lot of the groups. And it was because I wanted to be funny, and I engaged, I wanted to grow also. So sometimes the kids that are disrupting aren't even necessarily disrupting because they don't want to participate, but just because they want to be silly or goofy. And so how you navigate disruption in groups can really give you a sense of authority in your group in a way that helps the students respect you and really appreciate you. And let me give you the heart behind why we want to make sure that we don't have a lot of side conversations and distraction in groups, is because we want every student, when they walk in, to feel like they have an opportunity to be heard, and to help them understand the importance of that small group as a time for them to grow. So one of my favorite ways to start when you have a group that is maybe disruptive or a little bit dysfunctional is just every week, make sure you frame group that you're giving them the correct lens and vision for group. Sometimes I think just giving people the vision of what you want group to be can solve a lot of issues without even actually having to do this intentional correction. Like it can be self-corrective behavior when you share vision. So it would look like something like this. You sit down with your students and you go, hey guys, I love that you guys talk a lot. I love that there's a lot of engagement, and I love that, like you guys are friends and you want to have these conversations. But I need your help in listening when myself or the other leaders talk. We love that you guys want to share, and this group is here so that you can share, so that we can know each other, and so that you can feel like you have a place that you belong. But when we are talking, when other people are talking, what happens is we make other people feel like what they're sharing is not important, like they don't have our attention or our focus. And so one of the ways that we can make sure that everyone feels heard and that everyone feels known is by being respectful when other people are speaking. And also, we don't want you to miss something that might help you grow when there might be intentional conversations, or to get us off track from applying this message into our life. So because of that, we're going to ask that you guys are attentive. And so if you open up group that way and you just kind of frame it for them like, hey, we're trying to help you guys connect. We're trying to help you grow. And it's not that we don't want you to talk. We want you to talk, but we don't want talking to disrupt from the vision and the goal. And then students are kind of hopefully bought in with you. Now, there's still some students that they can't help themselves. They don't have self-control. Again, I, like most of the time, lack the self-control, still do sometimes, but to know when to talk and when not to talk. And so something that you can do in the simplest way at first is you have to do it in front of the group. That's the important thing, because it puts the burden of everyone knows the expectation. So everyone knows like, hey, when someone else is talking, we pay attention to them. And so it'll look like this. If, like there's someone talking, I even did this last week. Tom was talking about his week, and two of the boys were talking to each other over Tom. So Tom was sharing with everyone, he had most of their attention, but these two boys were pretty clearly not paying attention. And I said, hey guys, I stopped Tom, I stopped everyone. I said, hey guys, Tom was talking. I need you to listen to him. And you do it in a way that's firm, but very kind, to where they don't feel disrespected. They don't feel, and then if it keeps happening, because it will, it'll keep happening. And you'll be like, hey, what I'll say is, pick a student by name. So you'd be like, Johnny, I don't know. You'd be like, hey, Johnny, I noticed that a couple times you've been having side conversations. I just want to remind you, like we talked about, we want to make sure people feel heard. I need you to focus for the whole group. Okay, can you do that? Johnny, can you help the whole group stay accountable? And sometimes if there's like a student that's friends with them next to them, like, can you help make sure Johnny, like if he starts talking to you, will you help him? And doing that in front of the group, you're not trying to embarrass them. That's not the goal. It's not embarrassment, but it is group accountability. That it's like, hey, we're all working towards something. And right now you need to understand that your behavior is keeping us from this. And I've had to do this before with like middle schoolers. You do this, probably have to do this much more frequently. But I remember a middle school group that I was leading when I was still in Minnesota. And which also, I don't know why, I always say the word Minnesota weird. Like I say only that word with a Minnesota accent, and it drives me crazy. You guys probably didn't even notice. Maybe you did, and you're like, this guy's, he's a weirdo, but I digress. So I was leading this group, and there was a particular, I had to step in for, there was no girl leaders that night, so I had to step in for a particular girls group, and there was this girl named Kyla, and she would always have something to add. She would always distract other girls, and I said, hey, Kyla, for whatever reason, it seems like you have a hard time not adding something when someone says something. I need you to work on that in order that our group can be productive. And it was like awkward for the group for a second, and it was really awkward for Kyla, but then she kind of latched onto that and was like, I can do that. Like I challenged her in a way that was like, it was kind, but it was very firm and in front of the whole group, but it was like a challenge for her to rise to that challenge. I'm like, I need you to work on this. And she was like, okay. So sometimes like not singling someone out to make them feel embarrassed, but to, again, like I said, have group accountability can make a huge difference. And then again, if there's a like bullying behavior in group, something that's unkind, you have to course correct those immediately to have the right culture you want in your group. So let's say someone says someone like, yeah, of course you got a bad grade on your test because you're an idiot. You know, you just quickly go, hey, we're here to build each other up, and that's not the way we talk to each other. Can you say sorry to them? Like in front of the whole group, because it just sets that expectation of that's not how we act. And there's rare occasions where if there's students who are just, they're being defiant, rude, constantly mean, you've given them, like, hey, I really need you to work on this. You've said that in front of the group. Again, we don't ever want to make students, we want to treat them like adults, because really in their thinking, they are becoming adults, and that you build rapport and respect with them when you treat them like adults. But there are rare occasions, and this happened to me as a student, where a leader will just be like, hey, I need you to step outside. So I actually think this is funny. This happened to me as a student. So I respect the ton out of my small group leader, Matt Dwyer. He's a big part of the reason I finally started following Jesus when I was in 8th grade, and he was just a phenomenal small group leader. But I was, I was loud, and, like, I had everyone's attention all the time. Like, he knew I was a leader in my group, and I would get us off course all the time. And there was two occasions I remember where Matt would be like, hey, Chandler, I need you to listen. I need you to focus on this. And I would be like, yeah, okay. And then I'd make another joke or a comment or something on the aside. And one time Matt just said, hey, Chandler, I need you to step outside. And I was like, and I remember feeling that was a little bit embarrassing. And I remember being awkward. But I stepped outside. My friends kind of like laughed at me. They're like, oh, you're in trouble, But I just respected Matt so much for that. And I want to encourage you guys that if you ever have to, please make that the last step. But if you ever have to take that step where it's like, hey, I'm sorry, we're trying to get something done, and we love that you're in group, but this week you're being too distracting. Can you take a step outside? And if they're like, no, I'll be good. No, it's like, no, just take a step outside. Next week, you'll have the opportunity to re-engage and be a little bit better. But it's just come to that point where a group's going to be more productive if you just sit outside right now. So again, I don't think any of you should have to do this. Like from what I've seen with groups, like they're mature enough and respectful and reasonable enough to not have to take this step. Also, if you're already outside, just send them somewhere other than your group, right? Like maybe inside or something like that, or be like, hey, can you take a step over there? But I think we are getting to the point where you shouldn't have to do this, and hopefully there's a good culture and students want to engage. But I think sometimes that just sends this message of like, hey, we take this seriously, like not because we're strict or not because we have not because we want to act like your principal or your teacher, but just because we believe in what's happening here. We believe that these conversations and these connections are important, that they're lasting, that they're helping people take steps in their faith journey, that they're helping them become closer to Christ, that they're helping students live out their faith at school. Like what we're doing here at Group is so important, and it needs to be protected. And so I think there's a way to present that to students where it allows you to be firm, it allows you to keep them accountable, it allows you to correct the behavior, but it's all in line with the vision. And that's why I say sharing that vision at the beginning of Group, saying, hey, for our group, we want you to keep cell phones in your pockets. And if you decide as a group, like, hey, I want to collect phones for my group, like, by all means, I'll support you in that. And I think that's sometimes a good step for some of your groups where like they're all on phones. And so you're like, hey, just so we can be focused, we're going to collect phones at the beginning of group, whatever it is. But when it comes to correcting behavior, if you first share the vision and then hold students accountable to the vision, they're not going to be embarrassed or upset at you. They're actually going to respect you a ton and feel like you care about their growth. And so if you have specific questions, again, every group's unique and has different personalities. And sometimes what works for, I'm giving you blanket advice, but what works for one distracting personality might not work for another. And so if you have questions about your specific group dynamics, please ask me. Like, I love making sure your groups are the best they can be. And if you don't ask me or say, hey, how can we improve these? Then I don't really have a picture of what's going on in your group and I can't help you in the way that I'd love to. So reach out, ask me questions, and I'm just praying that you guys have powerful and impactful groups.